On this evening to grad school night. Our presentation this evening will stem around commitment to yourself and others. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking your time this evening to spend the evening with the graduate school. We have a number of individuals that we'll be introducing to you throughout tonight's presentation. But I want to first go over the agenda with you and give you an idea of what tonight will involve. So again, welcome to the presentation. We have Donald DeSormo, the Dean of the Graduate School, who will be reviewing with you a little bit about Kaiser University and how we got started. We will also introduce you to a number of panel members that will work with you throughout the evening to discuss Kaiser University and tonight's topic. And then we'll jump into a Q&A that'll be led by myself to discuss any questions you might have about the program. And then we can schedule follow-up conversations with anyone who individually would like to discuss information one-on-one with the members here of graduate school or our subject matter experts that will be joining us in the panel. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Dean Donald DeSormo, who oversees our business, criminal justice, and accounting programs as the Dean of the Graduate School. And he's going to talk to you a little bit about what makes Kaiser unique. Dean Donald?
Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining tonight. Appreciate that, Stephanie. Stephanie is our Director of Admissions for the Graduate School, and we're pleased to be able to share some unique insights with you tonight about a special topic. So Kaiser University was founded in about 1977, right? So it was actually a family-operated university. We started with one student and worked up to about 21 different locations now as we push forward to 2024. And so we're have a lot of locations in the state of Florida, and there's about over 100 degree program offerings when you talk about bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degrees. And we are an accredited institution from Southern Association Colleges and Schools. We have some high rankings in certain categories. One of those categories is social mobility. Back in 2023, we had a high ranking of #1, and we continue to rank high in that category. We also have a global education outreach with locations outside of the US, where we're trying to continue that outreach and support for everybody to make our programs as accessible as possible. Our online programs allow that flexibility to be able to do that for anybody outside of the state of Florida as well. So we do have a residential campus, which we'll talk about tonight, which is located in West Palm Beach. And our graduate school main area is located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And so we want to talk a little bit tonight about how a commitment to yourself and your education is important, and how Kaiser University can help that in the online process. So without further ado, Stephanie and myself will be moderating tonight to try to help, and we have some great speakers in store for you tonight, where we can be able to talk a little bit further about some aspects of our online community. First, we have Dr. Emily Restivo from our Criminal Justice Department. So Dr. Restivo, would you like to briefly introduce yourselves, and then we can talk a little bit about your unique topic that you can speak about tonight?
Sure. So I am Dr. Estivo. I have been at I've been at Kaiser University for a few years. Prior to working at a totally online school, I was an in-person professor at a small college in New York, and so I do have this sort of where I try to bring elements from what we would do in the classroom into the online platform, which I find to be beneficial for my students. I also was a in-person student at Florida State, where I got my PhD in criminology. And so I also try to incorporate elements in the learning experience for my students at Kaiser University that I found to be beneficial as an in-person student, and how that can be, transformed into the online experience. I truly enjoy being an instructor in the classroom. It's a rewarding experience, and I am looking forward to tonight's discussion.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about that background. And part of what some of the questions that came in about this discussion, which led to it, was kind of talking about engagement. And you kind of really touched on that a little bit about in-person learning versus online learning. And so, if you would, could you touch a little bit on some of the strategies that you do in your course room that really help foster some meaningful interactions with some of the students and discussions in the online environment? How that kind of works for you, and how do you kind of try to help that culture of success for everyone?
Sure. So I do think it's crucial that we as instructors recognize that the online environment doesn't diminish the need for connection, both for student and instructor and even peers amongst themselves. And so, in fact, I think that the online environment truly amplifies this significance of this connection. And so I have found incorporating a few elements into the online classroom can really be a game changer. We have weekly Kaiser Lives that I find just as important to me as the instructor of the course, as the students tend to feel. I think it brings a human touch to the digital realm. It allows students to see myself and interact, but also hear their peers as well. These are recorded lectures. So if you aren't able to attend live, but it does create a personal connection, it fosters what I would perceive as a sense of presence that can be a challenge, that can be quite challenging to achieve through just text alone or term papers and midterm and final exams. So there are interactive sessions. Hearing the nuances of each other's voices even just adds a sort of depth to the communication and makes it more personable, and relatable. I also really try to foster open communication channels with my students. So having virtual office hours, giving my cell phone number to my students, allows, an atmosphere that caters to a variety of, as I have to, not every student has the same timetable when they can and cannot, speak during very strict office hours. And so I try to make myself available to align with the needs of the students that are enrolled in my courses each term. What else? We have discussion boards. Discussion boards are a really wonderful forum and journal entries as well. They create these virtual spaces where it's an avenue for students to be able to articulate their thoughts and to engage in meaningful dialogue. And so I have found that for my students, these discussion forums and journal entries really becomes a space where they can exchange these ideas and create a much more positive online classroom environment.
Excellent, thank you. And those integrating those multimedia elements to your course and some of those interactions, even if you're using a virtual whiteboard or if you're trying to simulate any hands-on experience, these visuals are definitely helpful. I like how you touched on the fact that you have an opportunity in real time to connect if that's something that you're interested in. Otherwise, you can watch the recording at your own time and still be able to get a piece of that information, and following up and sharing your contact information with students, and helping bridge that gap with time strains in the online community. Everybody has different priorities at different times, and it's hard to be in one place. So having that connection and having that rapport with a faculty member that you can reach out to is something that's really important in the online environment. And that's something that I think makes Kaiser University very special, is that all the faculty do keep care deeply about trying to expand on those connections and helping students network to the next level. So really in your online experience, you're making that commitment to yourself, and what you put into the situation as a student, the faculty can really help and try to mentor and try to provide opportunities for you to grow as a professional and reach your goals. And we really try to work together to do that. And I think you did a good job of explaining how some of those avenues in the classroom are available. If any students have any questions tonight, please do pop them into the chat. Our Director of Admissions, Stephanie, is monitoring that chat. So we will bring questions to anybody from the panel. So please do feel free to drop those questions in there. And if there's anything further, you can also raise your hand and we can call on you. I see we do have a question right now, so I'll turn it over.
Yeah, so actually it's more of a comment. I wanted to let you know that I do hear often, and I'm glad that you mentioned, Dr. Restivo, about the accessibility and engagement that is brought to the students from the classroom, because one of the core questions that we typically get from our prospective students is, how engaged will I be? What type of opportunities will I have to engage outside of discussion boards so that I really feel like I'm connected not only to Kaiser as an institution, but to my faculty member and other students within my classroom. So we really appreciate that feedback. And I think the students on this presentation will appreciate hearing you confirm some of the things that we've discussed with them and told them on the front end that is unique about the Kaiser experience. And the Kaiser Live is certainly something that is highlighted and discussed in great detail during those communications as one means to connect with the faculty members, be it real time during a Kaiser Live or watching it as a recording to stay up to speed with what's going on in the classroom. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent observations and feedback. And so, Dr. Restivo, there may be some additional questions or some things that you'll be able to add to the conversation as we move forward. I would like to introduce Dr. Manuel Rosa so he can provide a brief introduction of his background and we can continue to get some insights.
Thank you very much. First of all, ciao bella, Dr. Restivo. Ciao bella. Always good to see you. My name is Dr. Manny Rose. I call myself the most electrifying administrator at Kaiser University in the state of Florida, in the nation, in the world, on the planet, who knows? But I work in the education department. I'm a first-generation college student. I got my bachelor's degree from Rutgers University in psychology and Puerto Rican Hispanic Caribbean studies. I got my master's degree in student personnel administration at New York University, student loan paid off. And I got my doctorate degree in higher education administration at Florida International University. This month will be 13 years that I have been working at Kaiser University. And it is very ironic. It was a career change for me. I started out as a director of student services for another institution, and where I taught actually public speaking. So I was used to the face-to-face. I was used to, one of my speeches for students was, tell me about the most emotional time in your life. I was used to connecting to students. And when I started at Kaiser University, I was like, online, how am I going to connect to these students? I want to make a difference. This is why I came into this field. And I remember my first time, because as students, you will participate in our discussion boards, and you will post and respond to questions that we post to you. I remember the first time someone posed a question to me and I had to respond to the student, it took like 4 hours. I was reading, rereading, making sure there was no spelling, making sure there was no grammar errors. I was the definition of overthinking it. And I say that because you may find yourself in that same way, but don't. And so I participated in the discussion boards, graded papers through the weekly assignments. I had the virtual office hours, and I thought, what are these students, am I connecting or are we bonding? And then I will not forget, after 8 weeks, some student messaged me crying, saying, Dr. Rosa, I knew you were there for me. I always knew that you would be there, and that got me through it. And I'm like, what? I can do this? I can make that connection through online? So I had my doubts too as a college professor. And now 13 years later, I think, and a lot of the people at Kaiser University are seasoned. We have a balance of new and experienced faculty members. But I think what makes us stand out, because you're going to go to different open houses, you're going to go to different schools. What makes us stand out are the people, the professors that are taught. I've seen these people. I've worked with these people. These people truly care about you. These are not talking points. I have nothing memorized, as you can tell. This is speaking from the heart. So at Kaiser University, this education, you make of it what you want. If you want no interaction, if you wake up and you don't want to talk to human beings, which I do someday, you can just post your discussion, be out, and that's it for one of those days. If you want to get more involved, then you can attend the Kaiser Live sessions where you can get live feedback from your professors, as Dr. Restivo has stated. And you can also, if you don't feel like that's good enough for you, you don't have the time for that, no problem. You can watch the recording. It's okay. And you could still get that feedback. And if you have questions, then our professors are extremely generous. When they say 24/7, you can call them literally. Some of them will in the morning, in the afternoon, in the middle of the night, they will get back to you through text, through emails. I've seen it, I've done it, I do it. The Super Bowl was interrupted because a student was in a crisis. Luckily, I believe when I don't watch the game, my team wins. So that happened to be the case. Hint, hint. So yeah, so we have it for everything for anyone. Your weekly assignments, you'll work on your weekly assignments. They will be due. If you have challenges, you'll talk to your course professor. We have the resources, which I'm sure will be talked about later, the writing studio. We have the librarians come to our classes and reinforce the idea of how to do research in case you're confused about that. So really at Kaiser University, you have the ability to make it what you want to make it. And we as professors provide that flexibility. We enable you to provide real world experience into your assignments, to customize your assignments so that they're applicable to what you're doing right now in your current career. So for anyone hesitant about, will I get to know my professors? How will it be in my online environment? You will feel that connection. We will help you through your academic coursework. You'll have academic advisors assigned to you. So if you fall into trouble, they'll be able to monitor your progress. We will give you some career advice. Dr. Restivo and I will give you vacation advice. Whatever you want here at Kaiser University. We are here for you, and we create these environments. The students create WhatsApp groups, and they communicate with each other. Who knows what they're saying about the professors? But you'll get the opportunity again. If you want that interaction, you will make connections with students in discussion when you respond to their discussion. There'll be times when you exchange numbers. And I had 2 students graduate last term. They met in the class, and they've been for a year back and forth traveling 2 hours to work on final projects together, and are now besties. So that is my long spiel to say, at Kaiser University, we are here for you, and whatever you want, you can reach out to me at any time if you have any questions or doubts. But at Kaiser, it is the people that are going to make the difference.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rosa. It's so nice to hear that, really that inspiring story about even how you begin the stages of your online process with making everything work for yourself. So that's candid responses are definitely appreciated because it is real, and it is, from the perspective of what makes a difference for you and how you want to make a difference helping everyone. And so that all boils down into like what he said about our student first mission that Kaiser has, to really try to help you with your unique experiences. And so, we do have over 100 degree programs from the associate's, bachelor's to master's to doctoral. So there's a lot of different opportunity for people that want to learn and grow. And the graduate school department has been growing, and faculty have been working with students on research and their doctoral degrees or their master's degrees, and really helping them find their niche and find their interest. And our faculty are not afraid to really pick up the phone or get on a virtual Teams call like we're doing right now and speak to a student as if it was a face-to-face environment. And we do have opportunities where you can meet people face-to-face, and you can come to campus with some unique experiences, and we'll talk about what those experiences look like. But some individuals do get to meet each other at graduation. They come to a real graduation, which our Director of Student Services will talk about. So there's a lot of participation and opportunity to really network. And so, Dr. Rosa, we did have a follow-up question in regards to some of the avenues of support that you talked about. So with you saying how much involved you are with that rapport with students, is there a unique situation that you're able to share about helping a student that maybe they were able to overcome an obstacle within one of your classes as they were new to online education, and kind of how you helped with that?
I think generally speaking, life is getting in the way of many of us, as human beings. And I think that as at Kaiser, we are sensitive to that. Each individual situation is different, and each situation requires a different type of intervention. I feel like I'm giving a lecture now, but seriously. So yeah, I would say again, you talk to your professor. If there's some type of challenge, like you would say to any person, you don't want to wait till it's too late to recover. The minute you think you're having a problem or you're in the middle of something, then talk to your professor. Your professor can work with you. We're human beings. We realize that you're human beings, and we get together as a department. We meet and we talk about students, and we talk about what they're going through. And we also talk about who's the best person to handle the situation. Is it someone who is the academic advisor? Is it the professor? Is it the department chair? Is it someone in financial aid or registrar? So we also, again, each challenge is unique, and we address it. And if we can't solve it as a professor, then we reach out to the chair or to the deans. But it is, again, one, we all come in to do what's best for the student.
And if you don't mind my adding, I think it's really important that you've noted that everything is unique and that there are unique situations when we're talking about intervention. And as we have conversations with prospective students, they want to know that they're treated like an individual, that their situation is unique, and that we will be that conduit to the faculty and academic side of the house, as well as the student services and support side of the house, when they have questions that, for example, that initial point of contact, that admissions counselor or the financial aid counselor can't help them through as they've transitioned into the academic space and are working within the classroom environment. And I can't tell you how many times we've had the opportunity to partner with faculty and academics through our roles on the front end as being that initial conduit to help students through these questions, concerns, and challenges, because it is about being proactive and helping to create solutions before they become problems versus reactive to anything that might cause a student not to be able to continue or complete their education. So that goal is knowing that we're that conduit to helping the academic side of the house, and that's what we communicate to the students. Would you like to add something, Dr. Rosa?
Yeah, and to add one more thing, and some of us were raised not to ask for help. It's the last thing to do. It's a sign of weakness. But again, this is not a high school degree. This is not a bachelor's degree. You guys are going for master's and advanced degrees when you're also getting older and more of life is happening. So it is okay to ask for help.
Definitely. I would say that 100% communication is always the key to the progress and helping someone understand your unique situation or those circumstances. And, we're not mind readers. So if you don't communicate, right, we're not going to be able to figure out the best ways to help. And, being an online student, things happen sometimes, just like how you'd be on campus. If you had to drive to a campus, things happen. You could be late because of traffic. Something could go wrong, and you may have a delay with getting to where you need to go on campus, or you may get lost on campus and you may go to the wrong building. Well, online, there's technical things that happen, and it's okay. You just have to be honest about what that is so that we can figure out the best ways to support you with staying on track. And one of the best things about being an online student and talking to employers and building your resume is the fact that you really are resilient. You have an opportunity to bounce back when situations or challenges happen, because you will have a support team and a safety net that if you communicate, we can work out a timeline with you, and we can work out an opportunity for you to be able to be successful. Because the bottom line is we want to help you get that goal that you're dreaming of, right? Whether that's a promotion at your current work, whether that's a change in careers, whatever it is that's driving your passion to be here, we want to see what we can do to help you reach those goals. So with that being said, we have an exciting topic to continue with because our student services director is here tonight as well, which helps really mold everything together. So I would like to introduce Director of Student Services, Heather Corridor. Would you please share a few words and speak tonight for a little bit?
Good evening. I just don't know that I want to follow Dr. Rosa. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not feeling so confident anymore. And going forward, I need to go before Rosa. That's it. That's my only request on these things. So good evening, everybody, and welcome. As Dean Donald introduced, I am the Director of Student Services for not only the graduate school, but the eCampus. And I feel it's important to mention that because I know a lot of you that are on tonight are looking to transition from that undergraduate degree to the graduate degree, or even just staying, going from that master's to the doctoral. So some of you, hopefully you remember me as that person that sent you all those annoying emails, because guess what? It's not stopping anytime soon. I attended Teal College. It was a small private institution. I went as a traditional student. I lived on campus for 4 years. So I went there for my bachelor's. I have my bachelor's is in criminal justice and sociology with a minor in legal studies. So I got that traditional school experience. And then a few years, what people typically consider later in life to go into that master's degree, I went and got my master's degree from Kaiser University. So I'm actually a Kaiser University MBA alumni myself. So I've experienced both sides of, if you will, the educational offerings. I did the traditional on ground, and then I did what I think is less being termed as non-traditional, but I think it still kind of has that view to that by doing my education 100% online as I went into my master's. One of the things that I loved about my experience at a traditional school was all the opportunities I had to participate, right? You could do as much or as little as you wanted, kind of like we've already heard, even in your course rooms, you could do as much or as little. So I attended the football games. I was in a sorority. I was on the activity board. I founded the Law Society and helped to bring Alpha Phi Sigma to the university. At the time, we did not have that honor society. So I was really hands-on, served on SGA at my undergrad. So when I came to deciding okay, I need to get my master's, and some of you might feel the same story as I did. I went for my master's because I wanted a promotion. I was already doing the work, but I was being passed up because I didn't have the degree. I didn't have a degree in accounting. I didn't have a degree in a business. So I told myself I was never going to let that happen again, but I'd like to be engaged. And I found that when I went to Kaiser, I had that opportunity. And that was before I was in student services. I had been in a different department. So when it comes to student life experience, anything that you could have experienced at a ground campus or would have if you've never attended a traditional university, you're going to get that same experience here at Kaiser University. And it's something that I'm very proud to say because I get to oversee the department that's ensuring that is happening for you. If you go to our flagship campus, which is that traditional university setting where the students live in the residential dorms, some of you who are going for doctoral programs or looking at doctoral programs will get the opportunity to visit the flagship campus during one of our residencies. But at the flagship campus, you have honor societies, you have clubs, you have intramural sports. Our football team just won the NAIA National Championship for 2023, which is so exciting, but they're not the only team. Our men's and women's swim team regularly are bringing home championships. There are so many championships coming out of that campus, we don't have time to list them. So they have a lot of great accomplishments. And then here, at the graduate school, we have those same opportunities. So one of the things that I love to offer is our leadership distinction program. And in that, we touch on different seminars every single month to help build out the other set of skills that you need to be successful, whether it's successful heading into your career for the first time or developing yourself in the career. So every month we have different topics, from leadership topics to how to professionally grow, how to write a resume, how to conduct an interview, and so many more. There's 16 different topics. We offer 1 to 2 a month. A lot of the faculty on here tonight have always volunteered to host those seminars and be a guest facilitator, because again, I am that annoying person sending all those emails. So we got to break it up every once in a while. And they talk on that. But we have organizations and honor societies too. One of the most notable ones is the National Society for Leadership and Success. That is an honor society that is, well, national, it's in the title, but it really works on fine-tuning those leadership skills. We also have Psi Chi, which is the Honor Society for Psychology students. We have Alpha Phi Sigma, which is the International Honor Society for Criminal Justice, which also encompasses Homeland Security too, to just throw that out there. Heads up to Dr. Restivo, who is our advisor for that one, as well as other opportunities to engage with our Student Government Association, our Student Veterans of America. And we still support the community, because a lot of the activities that you do, I remember we did campus cleanup days. My sorority hosted a Make-A-Wish 5K because that was our philanthropy. We're doing it here. I think one of my proudest moments, and I get emotional, so I do apologize, is seeing the national turnout we had for Breeze Across America. My brother-in-law was killed in action, and he's buried in Arlington National Cemetery, so we don't get to go up there to check on his tombstone that often. So we took on the initiative of Breeze Across America to make sure that Kaiser's doing more for the community. So we had campuses turn out. Tallahassee took the whole campus. I had professors in Ohio and in Virginia sending me pictures of them being there. I know my family, we were out in the pouring rain because it was storming down here that day, laying wreaths. And it was just a fantastic opportunity to see the Kaiser University turn out as a community. So there's always different ways to engage. You know, we hosted a gala to raise funds for our aquatic center, because it's important to remember, and you'll learn this in your business classes. I saw Professor Egertson was on here. I had him when I did my MBA. So I'm pretty sure it was within his course that we had this conversation, is that businesses and organizations have an obligation to the communities in which they're found. Our community is national. So we have an obligation to give back and be a part of that community. And honestly, that is what future employers, if you're not working, are looking for, right? They want to hire somebody who is going to represent their mission and their goals and their values. And you know what? That's the same mission and values that are here. And we instill that to you as a student. So I see Dr. Akerson. So I always tell that story. Anytime I talk about community service or servant leadership, I always reference my time with my master's because it's something that we do talk about. So there is no shortage of ways for you to engage, to meet your other students, and we do it all virtually. The only in-person activity we have, you can see my background in that, is graduation, and that is my favorite day of the year, is having all of our online students, because that's what it is. It's an all online student graduation ceremony. It's fantastic. The faculty fly in if they're available. We always have a ton turnout. Last year we had like 300 students walk, and they travel from as far away as Alaska. We had families flying in internationally from Africa, Costa Rica, to name a couple countries. So it is fantastic. And I love that I get to be a part of that because it is something that I am very passionate about, if you can't tell from the emotions going on.
Miss Heather, we did have a comment in the chat related to your commentary, so I thought I wanted to give you a chance to address the comment. One of our guests suggested that having a high degree is important, especially when you're in a leadership position, in particularly as a manager, a CEO, director, or president of a company. Did you want to address that statement?
No, I absolutely agree with that. You know, one of the things that I tell students is to start Googling those jobs that you're looking for. It doesn't matter what city, doesn't matter what state, start looking at the requirements. Having a master's and doctoral degree just goes to speak to how you are a subject matter expert. in those areas that you are working in or looking to specialize in. So it further helps credential you, and not to mention in all elements of our academics, and I know Dr. Estivo and Dr. Rosa probably are the better ones to speak on it. We have the underlining of what it means to be a leader and the importance of building those leadership skills. It doesn't matter what discipline you're in. And we like to emphasize that with a lot of the initiatives that we do. So for someone who is a CEO, director, or a president, not only is there an expectation of experience, but also of knowledge. And that knowledge comes from more often than not in pursuing continuing educational opportunities. And so that way you can continue to build and develop professionally.
I think that's a great response, Heather. Thank you for the feedback to our guest. I did want to create a little bit of a shameless plug here for the Student Government Association. They've actually joined us on many occasions on our graduate nights to talk with prospective students about how their involvement in the Student Government Association for the graduate school not only has led to leadership development skills, but also career opportunities. For example, I'll use myself. When I graduated from college, I was the president of the Student Government Association at the school that I attended. And the irony of it all is, on my first job, my first real live job interview that I attended for a position that required leadership skills and required high levels of engagement, and to show them that I could multitask and juggle more than one thing at a time, the one thing that stood out to them was that I was the Student Government Association president. I worked a full-time job, and I managed still to do well academically. And they liked seeing that I could take a leadership role and grow and develop and build projects and solutions. And I got hired for my first job purely because of my engagement in an organization like the Student Government Association. So don't think that just employers are looking for what you did and that you had a 4.0 GPA the whole time you're in school. While that is amazing, and we hope that everyone has the opportunity to achieve something like a 4.0, they're looking at what networking opportunities have you created? How have you engaged with employers in the field? What things have you done outside of the classroom? And how have you been able to manage and juggle all of that with real life, like Dr. Rosa talked about earlier, because a lot of stuff gets in the way. So how are you capable of juggling all those things and being involved in those type of things and still being successful? So keep that in mind as you're applying to schools and looking to become involved in organizations and opportunities. It's not just the schoolwork that can drive opportunity. It's some of the other things that you learn along the way and those skills that you're developing that can help as well.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to make a connection with somebody, and it could be some of these extracurriculars, the honor societies that open those doors for you. I mean, more and more opportunities come about from networking versus applying for jobs. A lot of jobs come from LinkedIn, and it comes from connecting with people who are similar to you. And LinkedIn is one of the things we spend a lot of time talking about too, to making sure that as a master's or doctoral student that you have a proper LinkedIn account. So that way you can network, you can, the biggest thing doctoral students use it for is to collect data for their dissertations. And I'm probably like the #1 person sharing that out for them. So these can create connections that you may not have had otherwise. So, sometimes it sounds like a lot, but the benefits often outweigh that.
Excellent communication there and comments. That is just some of the really that passion really comes out. And Heather, I thank you for sharing that emotion with everybody, because it's true, right? We all are here to make a difference and we want to help everyone. And I can also add that there was recently a student within the doctoral program that reached out that because they were so impacted by the program that they also want to teach, and they want to be able to teach in the undergraduate department one day. They want to start off teaching besides their current position that they hold. They want to be able to do that, and they don't have experience yet teaching. So they asked me, how do I do this? And I was able to connect them with the department chair and talk about ways where they can gain that experience. There's certain things that they can do within the classroom to provide presentations. They could present at a conference together. They could do research together. So I introduced them to that side of the conversation with the faculty members that they didn't realize they could be able to do that, and how they get that volunteer experience. And that's where Heather's department also comes in with helping you understand how you build that resume and how you have to show that holistic experience that can really set you apart from other candidates, and really provide, that experience that maybe you need to get to move into that next level. So we're always willing to do what we can to help in that area. And so if it's possible, Heather, I don't know if you can share in the chat the link. I think there is a link to one of our graduate school newsletters that I think will be great. If you can pop that into the chat, those watching the recording and coming back, maybe you could click on that newsletter, and you can see a lot of the diverse experience that these faculty members bring to the table for you, and some of the exciting things that are going on right now at Kaiser University Graduate School. I think it's a good avenue to kind of see that. And we also are hosting a YouTube channel now where we're doing Kaiser Voices with different topics that are important to the community, something new for 2024. Would you like to touch on that a little bit, Heather, with what that is in store for some of the students?
Yeah, of course. So the graduate newsletter, it is not like your traditional newsletter. It is more research based. So with the newsletter, while we call it a newsletter, I don't know that we're quite doing it justice and terming it that, because it's much more than that. It provides some great insights to different topics. The first one was more about AI in the future. The next edition will be about healthcare. And taking a look at the health industry and the upcoming changes. And what's fantastic is you're barely scratching the surface with your professors' backgrounds. Some of the things that the professors or research are involved with will blow your mind. And it's that experience and their experience teaching students that comes forth in the newsletter. So it's a great opportunity to take a look at. We do feature some alumni testimonials in it too. So if you're ever interested in giving a testimonial, call me. I take all phone calls. And then with the YouTube channel, it's called Kaiser Voices. The story, our stories, and it's so interesting. So this month we are celebrating Black History Month. And we had our first episode with Dr. Brown, and I'm going to actually just go ahead and drop that link into the chat room just so it's easier, and it'll connect you to all of them. So every month we pick a general theme. Our marketing director, Ms. Lovo, is beyond talented, and she creates a theme for every single month. So this month is Black History, so we have different faculty and some students that will be speaking to us on achievements and accomplishments thanks to those Caribbean and African Americans who have made a difference in various areas. So that's really exciting, and it's a nice little snapshot to get these stories or connect with these professors that you may not get in class. So like those of you that are not going to have Dr. Brown, you're missing out. But listening to her on her podcast and share her expertise and what she's passionate about is a great opportunity to meet some of these other educators. And there's even an opportunity for some of our alumni to come back and speak to us. We had Dr. Larry Williams just last week. He actually ended up being an in-person guest speaker for us versus a podcast episode. And he graduated last year from our doctorate in IOP. And he did a presentation on the history of Black Americans in psychology. And I mean, the things that we learned about about the contributors and where some of the theories came from were amazing. And I'm not a psychology major. My undergrad was criminal justice. My graduate was master. So like getting those opportunities are a really good opportunity to just further expose you to amazing opportunities. And I'm going to drop in the chat the link for the newsletter. I'm just having a moment trying to find it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we do have some additional time for question and answer here too. So if there's anything additional, please pop it into the chat, or raise your hand and we'll be able to call on you if there's anything that you have. We have, a great panel here. We also have some members that are online in the gallery that can pop information to the chat. But I'm going to turn it over back to our Director of Admissions to speak a little bit more about some of the opportunities to get some one-on-one attention and support to more specific questions and program connections.
Absolutely. So anyone who would like a one-on-one connection with an admissions counselor, we're more than happy to set up a dedicated appointment for you so that you can sit down and have a conversation. The counselor will really spend a lot of time truly understanding what it is that you're hoping to accomplish with your degree and determine whether or not Kaiser University is a good fit for you. Should they make that determination, we're also here to assist you with scheduling financial aid opportunities so that you can talk with someone in financial aid to understand what type of scholarships and funding sources are available for those who qualify. And I think that leads me very nicely into the question that I had here in the chat. The first question that we have is, to make sure that I understood you correctly, can you take the MBA and DBA completely online? And what are the costs for these programs? So yes, you absolutely can take the MBA and the DBA completely 100% online. There are also opportunities to take the MBA in a hybrid and a campus-based format as well at one of our 20+ Florida campuses, as well as our Shanghai, China campus. So there are options as well to take that in Spanish. We have a Latin division that also offers the MBA and DBA 100% online. So a number of different platforms in which you can take that, modalities, and opportunities. As far as cost is concerned, each individual situation is completely different. What I highly recommend is that you take the time to meet with someone in financial aid. They'll talk to you about the total gross cost of the program. They'll discuss with you what scholarships are available for you, as well as what type of funding sources are also part of that financial aid funding plan that they'll customize for you based on the completion of something we call the free application of federal student aid, which is the FAFSA. And once they make the determination on what you qualify for, they can discuss with you in great detail what your total net cost would be, and go over with you what that might look like should you decide to pursue an opportunity with Kaiser for an MBA, a DBA, or any of the other 90+ program options that Dean Donnell had mentioned earlier during this process. So again, an opportunity for you to connect one-on-one with admissions and financial aid and really speak to them in more of a dedicated one-on-one session. Hopefully that answered your question. Please feel free to drop additional questions. We are in the Q&A section of our conversation. If there are no further in-depth questions about that question, I do see another in the chat. It says, I live in the Caribbean and my family is based in Sarasota. I'm interested in pursuing a doctorate in nurse anesthesia. I must say, I absolutely love your program offerings. However, I would like to know if Kaiser can assist international students to achieve their goals through partnership with healthcare facilities, hospitals to pursue training while doing their studies. I'm also a registered critical care nurse by profession. Love that question. I do have with me here on our call Sabine Stiles. Sabine is the Director of Admissions for our graduate program in nurse anesthesiology at our Naples campus, where that program is offered. I think she would be best to answer and address that question. Keeping in mind, we will be somewhat brief on our answers, and we can be much more detailed in a one-on-one conversation that we're more than happy to schedule with you after this presentation. Sabine?
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. Yes, that is a really good and detailed question and does really warrant a follow-up call because I-20 and international situation is a little tricky for that program because you do need to be a registered nurse in the United States for 1 year prior to applying. But I'm going to put my email in the chat so that we can follow up afterwards today or tomorrow and connect in more detail.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sabine. And Stacey Ann, as Sabine mentioned, she'll put her information in the chat. And I'm sure that would warrant a much greater, more detailed conversation amongst the two of you. But great question. Thank you so much. I next have Bianca Ocean Desmore, and Bianca would like to know if we have scholarships based on previous accomplishments. And I'm more than happy to address that as well. I don't believe I have anyone here from financial aid on the line. But in our graduate school, one of the things that we are proud to say is that we offer scholarships for those who qualify. We have 5 very specific scholarships. I won't go into the detail of all 5 of those scholarships, but we have scholarships designated for military professionals, scholarships for healthcare participants, as well as scholarships for individuals in government or related roles. And we also have a need-based academic scholarship called the Vice Chancellor Scholarship. And all those scholarships vary in ranges from 15 to 25% of tuition, not tuition and fees, of tuition. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have a financial aid appointment with a financial aid staff member here on site, they will review with you what you may or may not qualify for. It is very much academic and need-based. And based on your employability and your employment currently. So those are questions that can be asked in more detail during financial aid. But yes, in general terms, we do have scholarships. We're very proud to say we award a nice percentage of scholarships each year to graduate students to help them finish their studies so that they can graduate with less debt in a shorter amount of time. I'm seeing some additional questions in the chat. How many credits do you need to complete your MBA or DBA? And if you have a bachelor's degree in business administration from accredited do you need a bachelor's from an accredited university? That certainly is something that I can answer as well, but I know we have some business faculty here on the call. Dean DeSormo is here with us, as well as Dr. Egertson. Would either of you like to attempt that question? And then I'd be happy to chime in with any additional insights. Dean DeSormo, Dean Egertson?
Yes, I can help you here. So of course, if you come in with a degree from accredited institution in business administration, you for sure can, you don't have to take the prereq courses. So that will help you in that field. And coming in and you finish your MBA, you can have even some of those courses transferred over to your DBA to make the DBA shorter. So it's definitely going to be in your favor. If you come in, you have the intention of finishing, getting a DBA, and we have the concentration in the DBA for marketing, management, and global business. So when you have that, it will help you to shorten your studies in the DBA. So yeah, but if you have any questions, feel free to have one-on-one with me, and I can help you. I'm the chair of Graduate Business School.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you so much, Dr. Egertson. Yes, Dr. Egertson is the chair of the business school, so he has insights into both the MBA and DBA. As far as the MBA is concerned, just for reference, there are prerequisite requirements for both programs that the department will review in conjunction with your undergraduate and master's transcripts, depending on which program. They will let you know whether or not there are any prerequisites that are required. One of the advantages that I find important to reference to you about the MBA is that our prerequisites are built into our 36 credit program. So you're not taking additional coursework when you enroll into our MBA, because if you do need those prerequisites, you can still finish in 12 months attending full-time, up to 24 months attending part-time with just our general MBA program. And then it is approximately 60 credits for our DBA. Keeping in mind, as Dr. Egertson said, we can review your transcripts. We can accept up to a maximum of 18 credits toward any doctoral degree, and we can accept up to a maximum of 12 credits toward any master's degree, keeping in mind it's evaluated by the faculty and at their discretion based on a course-by-course matching in the curriculum. So there's a number of things that we can do to decrease your time to completion through the transfer of credit process, but we want to make sure that you have all the prerequisite coursework that you need to be successful in your program. Okay. I also have an additional question here. Dr. Minlin is making a comment. If anyone has any questions about the graduate nursing programs, She wants you to know that she's the nursing department chair and you are welcome to reach out to her. She has also listed her email in the chat. So if there's anyone here that has questions about nursing, you're welcome obviously to ask those questions this evening, or she'd be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you moving forward. Sabine has also listed her information in the chat that is available for you. Orlando, another guest of ours, is asking, some programs have concentrations, for example, MBA accounting, global business and management. Could we choose any of these concentrations later if you've not decided what path yet you would like to do? And I do see Dr. Egertson shaking his head, and that is absolutely a yes. Typically my team, your admissions counselor, will talk to you about all of those options. We have a number of concentrations for both our MBA and our DBA program. And those vary in a number of specific disciplines like marketing, accounting, global business, management, so forth and so on. You can choose to start in the MBA. And if you wish to add a concentration, you can do so at any time, or you can choose to add a concentration right on the front end. So that you are aware, there is a difference in the number of credits. It's 36 credits for the general MBA. It's 45 credits for the concentration. So obviously, the sooner you add the concentration, the better it will be for your circumstances, because then it will help you predict your time to completion so that you know approximately what courses you need to take and in what sequence so that you can finish sooner, again, enabling you to be out in the workforce faster. So excellent question. Dean DeSormo, Dr. Egertson, anything you'd like to add to that comment?
I think you covered it perfectly.
Excellent. So Orlando, if you have additional questions, again, Dr. Egertson and Dean DeSormo would be more than happy to speak with you one-on-one as well. Demi Lola has a question. She's interested in the DNP anesthesiology. Another question for Sabine. I've been a critical care nurse for the last 7 years. I wanted to know if the program has prerequisite requirements, specifically biochem or organic chem. If so, does it have to be completed before applying? Sabine?
Yes, I was starting to respond there. Yes, absolutely. We do require a recent chemistry along with a lot of other things. So shoot me an email and I'll send you the whole list of requirements.
Excellent. I love those very succinct, direct answers. Thank you so very much. Our next question comes from Bianca. She's asking what the length of the doctorate degrees are. So Bianca, that is a loaded question, but a great question. We have a number of doctoral degrees, and those degrees range between 44 credits on the low end and 60 credits on the high end. We have two types of doctoral programs. We have the applied doctoral programs, and then we have the PhD programs. One is practitioner-based from the applied doctoral side. The other is more research-oriented on the PhD side. So depending on which program you choose, you will take anywhere between 44 and 60 credits to complete that program. So we're looking at 2.5 years to 5 years approximately, depending on the program you choose, depending on the length of study, and depending on whether or not you're part-time or full-time. So there's a lot of variables that differentiate that time to completion based on number of credits. And then of course, transfer of credit needs to be factored in as well. But again, I would be more than happy to have a member of my team have a one-on-one with you, and we can be very detailed related to length of time for completion. Oh, very nice, Orlando. It looks like Orlando is a Kaiser alum. So congratulations on your MBA with Kaiser. We love to see alum considering to come back for a doctoral program with us. You know, we'll be reaching out to you about our DBA, Orlando. You did mention that you chose the concentration. That's great to know. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that was actually very helpful for our other listeners who may not know what we just discussed about the MBA and the concentrations. Masetta here has a question for our psychology department. I do know we have some psychology faculty online as well in our chair. The question is, I'm interested in the doctorate program in industrial and organizational psychology. Before applying, is there an opportunity to speak to someone in the program to learn more about the curriculum, course capacity, etc.? Dr. Esterling, would you like to cover that?
Yeah, and I just replied in there. I included my email address. I would recommend just send me an email and let's coordinate offline an opportunity to speak one-on-one. I can include myself or my academic program coordinator, who's a specialist in IO psychology, and we can certainly talk to you about our curriculum and expectations and what we have to offer here.
And I think, as you can see from what you're getting from a lot of the gallery members and subject matter experts, all of them are willing to have one-on-one conversations. All of them are willing to talk offline. And if they're not the right person for that connectivity, they're willing to refer you to someone that could have that in-depth conversation with you. So we really appreciate all these questions, and I'm going to keep going. And if there's anyone that has anything additional to add from the gallery, please just let me know, because it's hard to see sometimes if you're raising your hand. If Dean DeSormo can keep me in line, that would be appreciated. Sabine did answer some questions in the chat. I'm moving through. Am I missing anything so far, team? I just got down to Dr. Esterling's comment.
It looks
think
like it looks like
covered it.
we're right on track with most of those. It looks like Dr. Rosa might have a comment.
Dr. Rosa?
Yeah, first, of course, I'll fly to the Caribbean to help Stacy with her questions. Not a problem. Kaiser University, remember that. I just want to say, not to date this, for those of you that are watching, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I look at it as a day of love, and what better way to acknowledge that you love yourself than to pursue an advanced degree. So no one on earth can take that away from you. That's one of the few things no one can. So if you're in the spirit and you want to do something and you're thinking about doing something, then I would say take that step. Love yourself, celebrate love, and pursue that degree, and choose Kaiser University to do it.
And if I may be so blunt to add to that, not only love yourself, but love the people around you. I'm sure you know people in your life that have been thinking about this for a really long time. And they've been saying to you, I want to get my master's, I want to get my doctorate. And life has gotten in the way. Like Dr. Rosa said earlier, life does get in the way. If you know someone, show them that you care. Show them that there are opportunities. Share this information with them. I think that leads into a nice transition to our close. We have recorded this communication this evening, as you are all aware. We're going to send the communication to anyone who has registered to attend this evening, all 100 plus of you who've registered for this event. So thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to share this recording with those that you think might benefit from hearing some of the information that was presented to you this evening. Again, I want to thank all of you. And if there are no additional questions, we'll go ahead and close for the evening. I also want to thank all of the faculty, staff, and members of our panel who were so gracious to spend their time with us this evening. And again, thank all of you for joining us. Have a great night, and hopefully we'll see you again soon or in class. Good night, all.